your position in society being recognised as a reason for why abortion services need to be available at home. And indeed, it was said quite explicitly by a very wealthy TD, Kate O'Connell, who does support the right to choose, that abortion has always been available to wealthy women. It's always been available because all they have to do is book a flight, book a ticket, and off they pop. And they don't have to wait around to arrange childcare, to tell lies to the boss to get a few days off work, to figure out how they're going to get their family to mind the kids when they're gone. All of that stuff that working class and poor women have to do, and indeed to find the money, to find the resources and the money that will allow you to travel, whether it's on a ferry, a bus or an airplane, and then that will pay the cost around €1,000 to €1,500 for the actual procedure itself. And then more than likely you have to go alone, because the expense will not allow you to be able to afford to bring a partner or a friend or a sister or brother with you. And there's Anna Cosgrave just come in, that's great. So I think that socio-economic reason has to be really high and really has to be argued for very strongly by people who do see a lot more in society than just you know, a sort of a set of philosophies that says we love both and we cherish both and it's all blah blah blah. But actually, what surprised me about this booklet more than what they said was what they didn't say. Because, you know, I imagined when I started the Smart Alex at the beginning, touching on George Soros being the billionaire who's promoting this, and then quoting people before profit, and then quoting the taxpayer having to pay for it. I thought that I was going to go ahead and read, well, we actually believe that there should be more housing available. What a good idea. What a good idea to put an argument that says, in order to undermine crisis pregnancies and the need or that women might choose to go for an abortion, one would think, let's have social housing, let's take all those children out of homelessness, let's deal with the crisis in housing. Another good reason might be to end the trolley crisis. Another very good reason might be to provide proper care for disabled children. We've only recently recognised their rights under the UNHCR, which was a lot of campaigning by the disability groups to achieve, but they put a big clause into it that they're not allowed to complain to the UN if their rights aren't recognised. So you would think that a group like this, who are so concerned about disabled unborn children, who are so concerned about unborn children in general, would really care very much about those who are born. But there's not a single mention of what should be done in terms of providing a sort of society that could help to undermine crisis pregnancies or unwanted pregnancies in Ireland. And on top of that, not a single mention of two of the provisions which will go into the heads of bill. We've no reason to believe they won't, because Simon Harris said they will. They came from the Citizens' Assembly and from the Oireachtas Committee, that a contraception of your choice should be available free to all women in this country. It is expensive to attain contraception. If you're a young worker, and we saw the stats recently about the level of low pay among working people, I think it's a quarter of all working people are living in poverty, and that includes women. In fact, another interesting statistic, most workers in this country are female, 52%. For the first time ever, it has jumped the other way. More people at work are women, and therefore more people at work are a higher proportion living in poverty. Again, very, very difficult to be able to afford contraception, whether it's a coil, a pill regularly, a regular visit to the doctor to afford the pill. All of those are very, very practical considerations. So they don't even champion the idea that free contraception should be available. Neither do they champion the idea that sex education should be provided in schools that is non-ethos based. Non-ethos based because they would hate to see that, wouldn't they? The people who listen to and who are, you know, under the command and adore the bishops and the Pope and the days of the family day out and all the rest of it, just would not like to see the Catholic Church removed from our lives or the bishops out of our bedrooms. That is precisely what they don't want. And in many ways, holding on to the Eighth Amendment for them is the last hope of the grip that they think they have over our morality, over our lives, over our choice. That is the line in the sand for them is the question of abortion, and is the question of a woman's right to choose and a woman's ability to control her own fertility. So that's why it is very much linked to the fight to get the Catholic Church out of our schools, out of our hospitals, out of our bedrooms. And I think for us, there's a lot at stake. For those of us, and when I say us, I mean those of us who want to change this country fundamentally, not just in a way of having more liberal access for people for their individual freedoms, but fundamentally to change this country so that choice becomes a real, meaningful word. So that if you do want to have a child, you can make that choice knowing that you can access a home, that you'll be able to afford childcare, which is prohibitive at the moment, you know, if you're a woman or even a family. That all of the material conditions which allow you to freely make a choice, to have a family, to rear them and to give them a happy and healthy life, that isn't there for you either under the current conditions. And actually, we're the only people that are talking that talk. And so therefore, I think we do need, I want to argue that we do need to really emphasise those things and to make a distinction between the role that the left play, that the communities that we work with play, that the working class can play in winning this referendum is quite different to what Simon Harris and Simon Coveney will play. Because, yeah, they're all for the Liberal agenda, but at the same time, they'll cut wages, they'll keep workers in precarious zero-hour contracts. They're going after the youth projects in the communities at the moment. We're having a big meeting in the Dáil tomorrow about it. And those kind of cuts are actually harmful to the prospects of a healthier society in which women and men can choose to rear families. The last thing to say is over the next while we're going to be really challenged in how we set out to win this campaign, because it's not a given. In fact, I think it's going to be quite a close run, and all of us have to make the maximum effort to canvass, to get out there and poster, to become part of a team and of a collective and of a community that together are going to fight for real change. And there's many ways we can do that, and I think maybe Emma can explain it later, but I think People for Profit are offering for you to come in and get involved in constituency-based canvassing and postering teams with us. We'd love you to do it. I think we do have to make a focus on why we defend the right to abortion up to 12 weeks. It's not the whole 9 yards, but we must defend it on the grounds that the abortion pill is approved and proven as being safe, and the most healthy and the best way of causing a miscarriage is taking the abortion pill. It's basically 2 stomach tablets that cause contractions and that force a miscarriage. And that most young women are accessing this before 10 weeks, and that also up to 12 weeks it facilitates women who've been raped. Anybody watching, I'm sure everybody is keeping an eye on that horrible rape trial in Belfast, would understand that there's very, very clear societal reasons, very, very bigoted, bitter reasons why women don't report rape, why they go into trauma, why they don't even tell anybody, because the victim is made to feel that it's her fault. And would you wonder, when you look at what that woman has been put through in Belfast for the last 3 months. So I think we need to defend the 12 weeks. I think we need to have very clear rhetoric about why this is a choice, and it will affect working class women, does affect working class women more than others. And I have to say, in the community I live in, Ballyfermot, I feel I'm pushing at an open door when I make this point, because most of the women up there have not just heard it, but they've been there, done that and bought the t-shirt, having had 12, 14, 16 kids, or even 6, 7, 8, but knowing that they don't want their daughters or their grandchildren to be forced to have to live that kind of a life. So I think we need to distinguish ourselves and be the best campaigners for choice and be the best campaigners for real change in this country. And we've loads of opportunity to do it, and we've a very nice sponsor poster thing going on, because we can't afford to get tens of thousands of these produced. But if you want to drive up a road and say, I'm for choice, yes, vote yes, give us a £5 and that'll be your poster, and you can mind it and make sure nobody takes it down. Okay, thanks very much.
Vincent, who I'm sure has a lot to say on the subject.
Not as much as she has.
Only right.
I promise. I think that there is a real prospect that the repeal campaign will be lost, because of a failure of the people on the repeal side don't argue the fundamental point, the fundamental argument for it. And I just want to show you the photograph of a fetus which the pro-life people use, I think, very effectively. And the repeal people, when